Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for coming along to join us in our bread masterclass, or our bread with Thermomix class. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chelsea McGill. I'm a Thermomix consultant and team leader. I am team leader of the Therminators, and tonight we are presenting our bread class. So it's been over a year since we did a bread class, so we thought we were definitely overdue to do one. So we absolutely love showing you guys some of our best tips and tricks for making bread. I do know that a lot of people that we talk to don't make a lot of bread because they're quite nervous about it. So we really want to show you just how easy it is to make bread in your Thermomix. We have some really great recipes to show you tonight, which I'm really excited about. And I know you're going to come away with this with lots of tricks and tips. So thank you again for coming along tonight. And I would absolutely love if you could interact with us tonight. So the more questions you ask us, the more you are going to get out of our class. So we do ask that you stay on mute just so it doesn't interrupt the screen and the talking, but we would really love if you could please use the chat box below. So I'm just going to pop a little message in our chat box, and I would love if you could pop a little hello in the chat below. And if you could let us know if you do have a Thermomix, which model do you have? If you don't have a Thermomix, pop that in the chat as well, and let us know, is bread something that you are currently making in your Thermomix? Any kind of bread, doughs, whatever it is, pop it in the chat and let us know. All right. So again, thank you so much for coming along to join us for our bread class tonight. And again, I am Chelsea McGill, Thermomix consultant and team leader. I have been a Thermomix consultant for about 3.5 years now, and a team leader for almost 3 years. But I have owned a Thermomix for coming up to 10 years now. So I do absolutely love my Thermomix. Tonight, I'm going to be making bagels with you. And bagels was actually the second thing I ever made when I got my first Thermomix, my TM31, nearly 10 years ago. Bagels are so delicious, and I'm really excited to show you guys how to make them. Thank you for all those comments coming through. Just having a look through our little comment box there. So I've got 4 of my girls from my team tonight, and we're all going to be cooking different dishes. The girls are going to introduce themselves as they come on to the screen tonight. Now, again, please use that chat box and ask us as many questions as you like so you get lots out of tonight. There was one other thing I wanted to say, and now I can't remember what it is, so it can't have been too important. But we are going to jump straight into it, and we are going to get cooking. Just notice my screen's a little bit bright. Just going to turn that one down. A little bit better. Awesome. So as I said, tonight I am making bagels, and I'm just using one of the bagels recipe on Cookie Dough. Now, this one is a from the US Cookie Dough, which you are going to notice in a moment. Now, I remember what I wanted to say. I did want to say that some of our dishes we have pre-recorded a little bit because bread is a tough one because there is a bit of waiting around time for your proofing. So we have helped ourselves out here by doing some pre-recording. So I'm going to bring up our first video, and I am going to walk you through our bagels. So I'm heading into my weekly planner where you can see I've added our bagel recipe. Now this is just on Cookie Dough. Now you can see our guided cooking, our portions, total time, and everything there. And then you see you've got the ingredients as well. Now you will notice that the ingredients are in ounces because this one is from the US Cookie Dough. So our Thermomix is very clever, and it will actually flip our scales into ounces for us, which means that we're not trying to work out the conversion. So you can see there the scales have flipped to ounces. We're going in with 8.5 ounces of water. Just using those scales on the side to weigh that one in. I like to go nice and slowly when I'm using ounces because I don't know off the top of my head how much that is. Now, 3/4 of a teaspoon of yeast, and if you've seen me cook before, you'd know that I'm not a measurer, so I just like to throw it in. Now, we've got 2 minutes on our timer and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 30-something degrees Celsius, and we are activating our yeast. So if you have ever made bread by hand, you may have noticed that it would ask you to use warm water, and that helps to activate your yeast. But if your water is too warm, you can burn your yeast, and if it's not warm enough, your yeast won't activate. So by activating it in the thermo, by warming it up, it means you're going to get the best rise possible on your dough, which is awesome. So you can see that we are working in Fahrenheit there as well, which is fine. Our guided cooking sets all that for us, so we don't have to worry. Now it wants 16 ounces of bread flour, and I like to use the Wallabies Baker's flour. I find the most cost effective buying the big 5 kilo bag. It's about $12 for 5 kilos, and you can keep it in the cupboard and get it out whenever you need it. So again, those scales are in ounces there. We're just weighing up to our 16 ounces of flour. And then 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So there is quite a bit of salt in these bagels. It is really important. And then 1.5 teaspoons of vegetable oil. Again, I'm not much of a measurer there, so a bit of a guesstimate. And now it does want some barley malt syrup, and I wouldn't buy that. It's quite hard to find, but I wouldn't buy it just for one recipe. So I just Googled, and Google told me that honey is the perfect substitute, but you might just need a little bit more than your barley malt syrup. So I just added a little bit of extra honey into that mixture there, and that's going to give us a very similar finish to the barley malt syrup. With cookie dough, with any recipe, make sure you're not buying random ingredients that you're never going to use again. I love to just Google what I can substitute, which keeps the cost of my groceries down. It means I don't have a pantry full of stuff I'm never going to use again. So we've just gone 20 seconds and around to speed 3 and combine all those ingredients. Then it said to keep our measuring cup inserted, and then we've got 3 minutes on our timer, and that one there is our dough mode. So we are doing some kneading there, and you'll probably hear us say this a few times tonight, but 2 minutes of kneading in your Thermomix is the equivalent of 20 minutes of kneading by hand. So that 3 minutes of kneading there is equivalent to 30 minutes of kneading by hand. So I know I personally would not spend 30 minutes kneading something, so I love just how quick you can do it in your thermo. So you can see that dough after 3 minutes is absolutely perfect. It's all combined, it's fluffy, and it's looking really, really great. So it wants us to transfer it onto a lightly floured surface and divide into 6 equal portions. Now, over here we have our Thermomat, which is a silicone mat that that is non-stick, and it is perfect for measuring. You see you've got your measurements for rolling, for shaping, for proving, for all those great things. Now you can get the Thermomat as a host reward, which we'll hear us talk about a bit tonight as well. So for those of you that brought some friends along tonight, thank you for that. That is one of our brilliant host rewards. Otherwise, you can purchase them from the mix shop. They're about $60, and they are a very worthwhile investment. Dough is something that you are going to be making. You will pretty much see every one of us use it tonight because we love it. Now we tip our bowl upside down and twist those blades backwards and forwards, and that helps to release the dough. Rolling that one around, and then we need to get it into 6 portions. So this is a little dough scraper from the mix shop. These ones are about $3. They're really, really handy. When you're using your bread mat, you don't ever want to use a knife on them, because if you put a knife through the bread mat, you shouldn't really use them anymore because they do have fibers inside them. So your dough scraper, or just your spatula, your thermo spatula, is going to be perfect for cutting dough as well. So I've cut it in half, and we need 6 pieces. So then I'm going to cut the half into 3 equal-ish pieces. I'm not very good at getting them equal, but I figure they look more homemade like that, right? Another 3 with the other side. And then the recipe did ask us to roll them into a ball, and then it said to cover them with oiled Glad wrap. So rolling them into those balls there. They don't need to be perfect because they are going to sit for to prove now for about 20 minutes. Has anybody made bagels before? Pop it in the chat and let me know. Do you guys like bagels? Is eating bagels something that you love? Pop it in the chat. Let us know what you think about bagels, or if you have made them before. Go ask Dad, babe. I'm not sure, mate. Sorry. Go ask Dad. Sorry, I've just had it. Can you ask Dad? Dad can get them for you. Sorry. Perks of working from home. So instead of using the oiled cling wrap, I have just used my Thermomat, which you can see there, just to, I've left them on there and then just flipped the top over. We try not to buy Glad wrap in our house. I just think it's really bad for the environment. If it's one thing that we can do to reduce, then that is great. So your Thermomix is amazing for those kind of things. So no need to oil it either. I'm just able to flip it over. So here we have these ones. Now these have probably been brewing for about half an hour, and you can see they've got a really, really nice puff up to them. They've really risen well. They're quite warm too. So roll into bowls, cover with oiled cling wrap or your Thermomix, and let rest for 20 minutes. And then we want to line a baking sheet with parchment. I've got my rose gold tray here with our tray liners, which you can also get from the mix shop. And then we're going to push the end of a wooden spoon or your thumb through the center of each dough ball and stretch into bagels. So the last time I did this, I made them too skinny, and I found that they weren't as good. So with the stretching, you don't really need to stretch too much. So I'm just working my wooden spoon through. And then we just want to make it a kind of a decent sized hole for your bagel. So we're just going to stretch them really gently around to create that opening in the center. See there, doing so. I'm just rotating it around my wooden spoon and just pulling it slightly until we've got that little hole. Now, be careful not to flatten it. Like I said, the last time I did these, I did flatten them too much, and they didn't rise. They were still delicious, but they were a little bit flat. So just be wary when you are doing that. Just want to create that hole, keeping that shape. So place on prepared baking sheet and cover with oiled cling wrap for another 20 minutes or until they just begin to rise. So we're going to do the same thing again through the center with our wooden spoon, or again, you can use your thumb, but the wooden spoon works really well. And then again, we are just pulling gently around to stretch that hole out. Being very careful not to flatten your bagels. And then I'm going to continue with those last few. You can make those holes a little bit wider if you feel they need it. So I'm going to continue with those last 4, and then I'm going to do the same thing, use my Thermomix to cover the tray, and then we will come back to me in a little bit to finish off our bagels. But we're going to head over to Em, and she's going to introduce herself and show you what she's making tonight.
Hello, I'm mixing with Mrs. Rutsey. My name is Em. I am doing tonight the brioche pudding. It is very, very deadly, but I highly recommend it. So it's a brioche berry pudding. So what I've done yesterday and today, I've made my brioche loaf, which I have just cut open so we can have a look inside it, and it does look pretty good. Let's talk about making the loaf. I actually didn't think it was going to work out. It just wasn't rising. It wasn't rising. I'm going to tell you all the truth. It was not rising at all. And I'm thinking, oh, I've let it out to breathe all day. I've had it under the ducted heating. It's still not doing anything. So I popped it in the fridge overnight, and I got it out this morning, and I shaped it and put it into my bread loaf that I've got from the Thermomix shop, the mix shop. And I sat in there for a few hours, and it's not doing a thing. And I sent a photo to the girls, and I said, it's literally just like, it's not growing at all. So it's not rising. I was a bit worried. I was a bit concerned. So I don't really have time to make another one. So I'm just going to pop it in the oven and see how it goes. 170 degrees. I left it in for 40 minutes. And look at it, guys. It actually worked. So I'm really happy with that. So what I'm trying to get at there is, if you make a loaf of bread and you think it is not rising, it's not doing what it's saying it's meant to do, do not stress. As soon as it gets into that oven that's hot, always preheat your oven first. You'll notice your bread turns out fine. So it is probably a slight bit of a smaller loaf, but I'm actually quite happy with it. Yeah, it is a fairly sticky dough as well. So when you're working it, I always have wet hands. Wash your hands first before you work it. But it's not actually too much of a fiddly loaf to make. You literally just roll it into a log, and you're just going to pop it straight in your bread tin, and from there you just let it sit. So it's definitely an easy one to do. I would love to try brioche burgers next, which is probably a similar thing. You just have to roll them into your burger size. So let's get started with this. I'm going to go start cooking. Preheat my oven to 180 degrees. That shall do. So 200 grams of white chocolate. So I'm going to place that into my bowl. So I've got my glider board here. I'm so excited about this. Don't know if you've heard about these, but these are kind of new now to the mix shop. I think they've been in maybe 2 months. You do fit your thermo onto it, and it's just easy to move it around the bench. And when you are kneading, so good for bread as well. Your machine actually doesn't go crazy bouncing off the bench. It stays put. So yeah, really happy with that. It comes in a white, a black, and also like a timber colour. Yeah, pop it in the chat box. If you have made brioche before, if it's in a loaf or burgers, I'd love to know. I know Aldi sells the brioche burger buns for a 4-pack pricing. I'm not sure, but I'm going to tip you. It's probably going to be a bit cheaper to make it yourself, and it didn't take that long to do. So going in now with 200 grams of white chopped chips, Vic's made brioche burgers. Good to know. I'm going to go next here now. This will be pretty loud for 6 seconds on speed 6. I am going to grate this. Not going to lie, I missed that one, bros. Guarantee now both my kids are going to be up. Let's have a look. I just told me that has fairly grated it down, and I am happy with that. I don't want to go too thin on it. I'm happy with the size that is. If you do want it a bit more grated, definitely do it. Again, I'm going to place that into a bowl. Sorry, I skipped that step. Transfer into a bowl and sit aside. So I have made this recipe before, and I made it with donuts. So I have tried it, and it is delicious with donuts. So I can't wait to try it with actual brioche bread. Vic's put in there $6 for a 4-pack at Woolies. Well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Going next now. So place half the brioche loaf cut in pieces in a stoneware casserole dish. So I've just got. Going to pop in this dish today. I'm going to chop that bread up. And it doesn't have to be neat. I'm just going to pop it all through. And so at the moment, we have our half-price business tip as well running. So if you ever consider joining Thermomix, now is the time. So it's $62 for the business kit at the moment. So it is half price, and it's about $400 worth of goodies in there. And come on and have some fun with it. So the Therminators, Chelsea's team, which we're in, I'm not gonna lie, we're probably the best team going around. Chelsea's pretty good. She's very supportive, and she just helps you every step of the way. So if you have a Thermomix and you love your Thermomix, or if you don't have a Thermomix, or you've got a TM5 or a 31 and you want to upgrade, the best thing to do is come on as recruitment so you can earn your TM6. I've earned mine. I've actually earned 2 of them along my journey, and I've been here now with Thermomix for just over a year. It's definitely achievable. And at the moment, there is, like I said, the half-price business kit, a glider board up for grabs, $125 mix shop voucher. There's so many goodies for this month. So if you are considering it, please reach out to one of us consultants, or even Chelsea, our team leader, and she can give you more information. We do run free business sessions weekly, and they're no obligation free, obviously, just to get you a bit of background about what is involved in Thermomix. So what I've done here is I've just roughly put my loaf up, cut it in. I'm going to go next. Top with half the reserved grated white chocolate and scatter over 200 grams of frozen mixed berries. So I've got my chocolate here, so I'm going to scatter that over. So I mean, it doesn't need to be fully grated this because it will melt through. And I've just got some berries from Coles, so I'll open them up. What brought you along to the class today? I'd love to know why you're here. So is it the reason because you're too scared to make bread? I know I definitely was and never made it prior to having a Thermomix. But pop it in the chat box. Let us know why you're here tonight. Are you a bread expert and you just want to get some tips and tricks from us? So I'm going to go next now, and it's going to ask me to put 80 grams of caster sugar in my bowl. Always remembering to tear your scales. You're going to hear that a million times from me, but it's something I do every single time. So 80 grams caster sugar going in. Ten grams of plain flour. If you wants to get some tips, definitely if you aren't a tip, you're in the right place. There we go, 27 grams. You know what? For anybody cooking, it doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to go next now. Cream fraiche, which I've got there, so I'm going to pop that in, 450 grams. If you want to learn more, definitely if you want to learn more, you are in the right place. Like if you go to Baker's Delight, the price of bread is through the roof. And always on a Sunday, I generally do my grocery shopping on a Sunday, but if I've got something on, I don't get a chance to go out and shop. It's so much easier just to whip up a loaf of bread for the kids' lunches the next day than just to go down the shop and get it. So there is quick loaves on there that you can do. There's all different ones and you do. There's millions of bread recipes. In saying this, guys, it asks for 450 grams. I don't have that. I've got 200, so I'm just winging it tonight. Going next, 3 medium eggs. I don't have 3 medium eggs. I've got 1. So I will pop that one in. But what I've got in my fridge is some buttermilk that is going to go out of date tomorrow. So I'm just going to use this up. Like Chelsea mentioned earlier, don't buy an ingredient just for the sake of it for a recipe. Just use what you've got already in the pantry, the fridge. It doesn't hurt. Don't be afraid. If you don't have 3 eggs, don't even stress. Do 1 or just put a bit of milk in or whatever you've got. Because I was short on the cream and the eggs, I'm just gonna. Doesn't even have the scales there. I'm gonna pop in the rest of that one there. So that is buttermilk that I've just put in. Vanilla extract. I have a smidge left. I'm going to put the rest of that in. And now pop in my lid on. Yeah. 20 seconds, speed 4. Looking pretty good. Never know if you can hear us over that. So what it's going to ask now is pour the custard evenly over the brioche, white chocolate and the berries. So we've just whipped up a very quick custard there. So I'm going to pop that over my brioche and my berries. Looks so good already. Please tell me if you haven't tried this that you were going to make it.
I'm actually really jealous that I gave you this dish. I 100% should have made this one. This looks amazing.
Actually, I was wrapped when I got this dish. I was like, this is I probably don't need the dish, but I was wrapped when I got this one. So, so now I'm going to just sprinkle over a bit more of our white chocolate. Let's use that up, shall we? And a bit more of our berries because I want to make it look a bit more healthier than what it is. You can add a bit more bread in there if you want. I'm going to actually slice on a bit more in. The middle of this loaf is really soft and nice and doughy. What brioche is meant to be. So, quite happy with it. This is my first time making brioche as well. So like when I was saying earlier how I just didn't know how it was going to turn out and look. Don't stress if yours is not rising. just keep going with it. I will pop a few more berries on there. And it's going to ask me to pop it in the oven for 50 minutes to bake. For anyone local to Australia, come over and get some dessert because I don't need this whole pudding. And neither does Nick. But let's just use up the rest of this chocolate, shall we?
That looks so great, Em, and that was so quick and easy, wasn't it?
It is so quick and easy, so quick. So you can always make your loaf a day or two earlier. So, you can do your loaf over the weekend. It doesn't matter if it's a bit stale. The recipe actually does ask for it. Taylor's going to fly over. Yes, fly over to Australia and come have some dessert with me. I'm going to pop this in the oven now for 50 minutes. And who's next? I can't even think who's next.
We're going to go to Victoria.
Yes, Vic's on next. So, yeah, hit it, girl.
Awesome. Thanks, Em. We'll see you later to see how it's looking.
Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria. I Thermomix 10 months ago after upgrading to a 6. I did have a 5 for about 6 years before that. I am based in Gippsland. I am currently on maternity leave. I only signed up for 60 days to earn mine for free, and I am still here, addicted and loving it. So I am making a garlic pull apart, and this one is from the recipe community. So I have downloaded that onto my machine. So if I go into the 3 little lines up the top there, go into my recipes, created recipes, and then I have got the garlic and herb pull apart bread on there. So the cool thing about this also is that you can actually adjust the recipe to suit yourself. So if you download one of these, you can edit it however you like. I'll just press start cooking. All right. So another tip also, when you're making doughs, you want it to be quite precise. So you want to make sure that the bottom of your feet are clean as well, because that's your scale. So you want that to be measuring right for you. So it says combine all of your ingredients into the bowl. I'll just click onto the little scale icon there, and then our scales tear it. So first up, it wants 370 of lukewarm water. So I'd love to know if anyone has made a pull apart bread like this. I used to buy it from Baker's Delight all the time. Not anymore. 1.5 teaspoons of sugar. 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. If you do get the yeast that comes in one of these little things, carton thingies, you want to make sure that you keep it in the fridge or pop it into the freezer so that it stays fresh. If you leave it in the pantry, the yeast will die, and once you've unsealed it, it'll be no good. So you want to keep it in the fridge. If you buy those little sachets, then that's fine. You usually just use one of those. But yeah, most people don't know that you need to keep it in the fridge. 620 of baker's flour. See, baker's flour is like a strong white flour. The gluten content is just a higher grade, so just is better for your breads. This makes quite a lot. 2 teaspoons of salt. And some bread improver, just helps for the rising of it. 2 teaspoons of that. Tablespoon of olive oil. I'm just going to guess. And that is it for that. So now it's just asking to mix for 7 seconds. Oops. On speed 7. It's just going to combine all of those ingredients together. If I press a little arrow, it will take me back to the instructions. It's a bit hard. I do have it on the lowest brightness, but it's a bit hard to see. Now I'll show you. So it's just combined all those ingredients together. And now it wants you to go onto the dough mode for 6 minutes. So the new feature with the created collections, you can now use the modes, which is really good. So if you click up on the top right, you've got a whole heap of circles there. So I'll just get into the dough mode. So for 6 minutes. And our little wheat icon, and it's letting me know that it's needing that now. So like Charles said before, 2 minutes in your Thermomix is equivalent to 20 minutes by hand. So a massive time saver. So I'm going to go over to my second one, and I'm going to start to make my butter. Just get a bit of my garlic butter. So I'm going to pop our garlic cloves in. I should be using these. I'm not wanting to stay up. The kids have been playing with it. Sorry. All right. And it says any herbs that you like. I'm going to use some oregano tonight. You can use any herbs that you like, whatever you've got in your pantry. Mixed herbs will probably be good too. 4 tablespoons of butter. These rose gold measuring spoons you can get from the mix shop as well. Sure chuck it all in. How much do you have butter? Put our lid on. Now it's saying to combine all of those ingredients for 2 minutes on speed 6. Just quickly with your hand. All right, sorry, I'm going to move you back over. Might be a bit louder than me. Yeah, I've got some dough that I prepared earlier to start doing our pull apart. So it has been going for, I made it a few hours ago, so it's well and truly brewed. And I've got one of our spatulas that you can use.
Look how big and fluffy that is, Vic. That was great.
So it's huge. So we want to flip it out. It does say onto a well-oiled surface, or you can pop some flour on your bench if you want to, but I'm going to use our silicone bread mats because obviously they're non-stick, which you can get as a host reward. So what you need to do now is knock it out. So you want to knock that gas out so that you're able to roll it. I'm going to use, I think they're called a French rolling pin. Is that right, Charles? I think.
Correct.
From the mix shop. I'm going to roll it out. The recipe said to about 2 to 3. So it probably needs to be quite thin. You can use any toppings that you like as well with these pull aparts. Tonight I'm going to pop some spinach, halloumi, and I've just grated up some toasted cheese as well. It looks quite rustic at the end, so it probably doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be so perfect. All right, so I'm just going to cut it into parts. This is what we're going to use to make our flat. Do, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think our butter was a bit too. So when I looked online, because it had been a while since I bought a pull apart from Bakes Delight, and they're about $6.90. I feel like everything at Bakes Delight has started to get teeny tiny. And I worked out that by making it in the thermo, it cost me about $2.20, so a third of the price. So it's massive saving right there. So we're just going to spread the garlic butter around. Now, of course, you could put extra garlic if you want to. You could put sun-dried tomatoes in there as well. Make it like bacon and cheese, whatever you like.
What's everyone's favourite pull-apart topping? Pop it in the chat and let us know. If you were making this, what would you put in there?
Yeah, great idea. All right. So a bit of spinach.
We've had someone say sweet chili and cheese,
Yeah.
pesto, bacon, cheese and spinach and feta. I'm loving these ideas. Oh, pineapple M. Just pineapple M or ham and pineapple or...
Alrighty. So I've got my grated cheese as well. So I put my spinach. So I have grated a little bit of halloumi as well. Sort of want to roll it similar to like a sausage roll. See it there. Try and seal what's in there. Probably doesn't matter if it comes out, it'll look good once the cheese oozes out. The dough is super easy to work with as well.
Vic, that looks so much easier than I thought it would be. I really thought this would be such a tricky one to make, and you're just making it look so simple, which is awesome.
Well, just winging it over here. All right, run out of room. I've got my 2 Thermos there. So I'm just going to use one of the rose gold mix shop trays that has one of the liners in it, so I can skip the whole baking paper part. I'm just going to chuck it on there, and then I will show you how we're going to flat it. Let's see. Hopefully the tray will be big enough because this does make quite a lot. The dough is super soft. And because you're using another silicone mat on these trays, you don't need to spray them. They're non-stick. Some saving on that as well. Let's see how we go. I need to space them out, don't I? This is what I love about my Thermomix too, is I'm like making new things that I would not have made before and just winging it as we go along, as you can see. So you just want to obviously plait it, same as your hair. I'm making a disaster of it, aren't I, Chelsea? Like the hairdresser of the group.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to lie. No, you're doing a great job.
Probably
dough is harder than plaiting hair.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can braid hair easier than this.
I said to Vic before, I said, oh, it's fine. Just, you know, I'm like, you just plait it. And then I was like, wait, you have 3 sons. I'm like, you're probably not very good at plaiting or braiding.
No, I had a little sister that did dance, so I always had to braid her hair. So I should probably know how to do this a bit better. But really, it all goes down the same way. So it'll be fine. Tuck the ends in. That will do. And I did do some like chunks of halloumi that I'm going to stick in between because we love halloumi in our family. So this is going to be great. The kids are going to have some of this in their lunchbox. So once I slice it up, it's going to be delicious. Stick some of that in. So I was going to pop a bit more of the tasty halloumi on top. I feel like this one might be a bit better once I practice it a bit more. But yeah, so that one is done. Ready to go into the oven for about 25 minutes or until golden brown. So there we go. That is that one.
Amazing. I'm super excited to see that one when it's finished. I really enjoyed watching that because I feel like that is one of those dishes that you look at and think, too hard basket, I would never do that. But I'd love to know, now that you've seen it through the process, do you think that it is actually quite easy and something that you could do at home? Pop it in the chat and let us know. All right, thank you, Vic. We'll be back to you later.
Thanks, Charles.
All right. So we are coming back over to me, and we are going to finish off our bagels. So we have left them for about 20 minutes and they have risen really, really nicely. They're taking that really good bagel looking shape. They're a little bit wonky, but you know, I feel like that makes them more homemade, right? Now I want us to preheat our oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about 260 Celsius. I just Googled that. If I'm not sure of what it is. Now, if your oven doesn't go to 260, that's okay. Just go the hottest that you can. This steam coming off there. Now, I've got a pot 2/3 filled with 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Sorry, not baking powder, but bicarb soda or baking soda. So what the baking soda does is it gives it the water, it makes the water alkaline or gives it alkalinity. And we're just going to drop 2 in at a time, and we're going to boil for about a minute. So by making that water alkaline, that's what gives bagels that really beautiful chewy consistency to it. If you didn't boil the bagel and if you didn't boil it in the alkaline water, it wouldn't have that chewy consistency. It would just be a bread roll. Your ingredients are very, very similar to your standard breads. So without doing this step, you're just literally making a bread roll with a hole in it. So this is really, really important to boil them and to boil them in that bicarb water, which raises the alkalinity. So we want to do about a minute and then flip them over and do about another minute on the other side. So cost-wise, you're looking at about $5 to $6 for a 4-pack of bagels at the supermarket, or in a cafe or something, you're going to be looking at about $4 or $5 for 1 single bagel. So you are looking at about $1.80 to make 6 bagels from scratch in your thermo. So huge money saver there. Now you could use these. I'm going to eat these hot with cream cheese. I'm hanging for one of these. I'm super excited. Just going to flip them. I'm going to eat them hot, smothered in cream cheese. You could do like cream cheese and salmon. You can do cheese and Vegemite. You could do ham and cheese, or you could do, you know, your poached eggs, your hollandaise in your thermo, egg and bacon, whatever it is. Pop it in the channel. Let me know if you like bagels. What is your favorite bagel topping? I am super simple, just a real lather of cream cheese. I did have a bagel one day with cream cheese, cinnamon and honey, and that was amazing. So I might even treat myself and do that. So you can have them sweet or savory. Bagels are so versatile, and that's one of the reasons that I do love them. So I'm going to, we want to drain our bagels. So I'm just going to pop a cooling rack over there. Now they go a very strange consistency, very slimy when they come out of the water, which is normal. And then our recipe says 2 to 3 at a time, boil for 1 minute, then flip over with a slotted spoon. I use tongs, but same, and then drain on a rack. And then we're going to put some poppy seeds and some sesame seeds on top. We'd use pumpkin seeds, whatever you like. And then they are going to go back on our tray. We'll do poppy on some, sesame on the other. You could leave them plain if you wanted to. And then we are going to return boiled bagels to our prepared tray and bake for 8 minutes at the 500 degrees. Bake for 8 minutes at the 500, and then we're going to reduce the oven temperature to 450, and then bake for a further 6 to 8 minutes or until browned. So that is literally bagels. I'm going to finish boiling those, and I'm going to get them into the oven. And again, I'd love to know, do you think bagels is something that you're going to be making now that you've seen that process? Pop it in the chat and let us know. But I will be back to show you the finished result in just a moment. And I'm just going to change screens. And next up, we have too many tabs open now. Next up, we have Jess, who I can see prepared and ready to go. She's going to introduce herself and tell us what she's making.
Hey everyone, so I'm Jess. I am at Thermilife on the Farm on Instagram. Unlike the other girls, I'm actually based in Coniva, which is in the Wimmera, but it just proves that we can all be part of the same team, not be in the same area. So anyone in Australia can join our team. Today I am going to make the brunch bread. So I haven't actually made this one before, but I have had it on my list to try for a while. If you just click this little arrow down here, it actually brings up, and it says here that we're going to need grated cheese. If you go down to hints and tricks, it says down here that you can grate your own cheese for 8 to 10 seconds on 5. So I'm actually going to quickly do that first. Got my cheese here, just in big chunks, and I'm going to pop that in. Go back out here. And we'll just do 8 seconds on speed 5. So I'll have a look at that now. So buying a block of cheese instead of grated is so much cheaper. As you can see there, 8 seconds, and we've got the grated cheese. So that will be right to go in the recipe. So I'll just swap bowls and go back to my recipe, and we'll get started. All right, so start cooking. It's time for me to preheat my oven. I've already done that. And to line a baking tray, but like the other girls have already said, I've got the rose gold one with the silicone mat, so I won't need to worry about lining it. 280 grams of warm water, scales. So when it talks about warm water, it is actually referring to about 37 degrees. So if you had to get really, if you wanted to be really pedantic, you could actually go the warm up mode and warm up the water to 37 degrees, but I'm not really going to want too much. Next, 2 teaspoons of dry yeast. Just got that here. When you put the yeast in, always just try and make sure you don't put it on the blades. And just put it around the blades in there. 20 grams of olive oil. Okay. And 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, I have actually been told in the past that you don't put salt with your yeast because it can actually affect the yeast. So I'm going to leave the salt out at this step, and I'm going to add the salt in once I put the flour in. So I'll just click next through that. It's guided cooking, so you can skip it. And this is just going to mix for 5 seconds on speed 3. All right, so now we're just going to use 500 grams of flour. So always make sure you take your scales again. When you take the lid off, it will affect the scales. So again, this is just a really basic bread dough, and I'm sure you could add in whatever fillings you like. So I'm actually following the recipe tonight, but going forward, you could add anything you like in here. All right, so that's the 500 grams. I'm now going to add the 2 teaspoons of salt that was from earlier. And now we're just going to mix for 6 seconds on speed 8. So I might get quite loud and you won't be able to hear me. All right, so now it's just saying to keep the measuring cup in. So I'll just show you here what it looks like. So it's just mixed it up into a really rough dough. So keep the measuring cup in. And now we're going to do the dough mode for the 2 minutes. All right. So while that's mixing, I'll just show you here. I've actually made a dough in advance, but if you guys are like me in winter and it's really cold at the moment, especially in an old farmhouse, I actually prove my dough over a thermoserver. So I've got the dough in the bowl at the top, and then underneath here you can see there's just some boiling water. And the thermoserver keeps it warm and keeps the right environment to be able to prove the dough. So this has taken like no time at all. If I just had it sit on the bench, it probably wouldn't even have started moving yet. So these thermoservers, if you've seen the very exciting news, as of tomorrow until the end of the month, if you host a demo with a consultant, you will actually get a thermoserver as a free host reward, as well as the other host rewards we've got on offer. So it's very exciting, and they're used for so many different things. And this is just a side note that I use mine for all the time, but is so useful. So yes, one of these would be free, and it's the best deal. All right, so I can just create, it's got 30 seconds left, but I'll just press the preview button up here so we can keep going on. We're going to transfer the dough to a bowl and cover, which is what I've done, and let it double in size. So that's going to take about an hour. Now, the big thing to remember is that it might say it will take half an hour to an hour, but depending on the warmth of the room and time of the year, it could be quicker or it could be a lot slower. So just make sure that it actually doubles in size rather than only leaving it for an hour. All right, so I'll just show you what the dough looks like in the bowl. So that's the dough there. And then this is about an hour and a half later. And it's definitely doubled in size. So I'll just scoot that back over there. All right, so we've done that bit. Now we're going to get the bread mat out. Got that here. But the other girls have said it is a host reward. So if you've invited friends over to watch along tonight, you could get one of these as a host reward. Now we need to make our dough, roll it out to a large rectangle, 20 centimetres by 45 centimetres. So the benefit of these dough mats as well is they do have the measurements around the edge. So we'll just, it's a little bit sticky. So to make it a bit easier, we'll just pop a little bit of flour on top. I think that should be about right there. My dough always looks a bit rustic. I can never get it to look perfectly square or round or anything like that, but it always tastes nice. So that's the most important part. We'll go next. Now with the long edge facing you, spread the grated cheese. So at no point yet, it's only in the recipe, it says what we're actually putting in. So we're putting in spinach, bocconcini, sun-dried tomatoes, and bacon. So I've got that all here, and I could just spread it out, but it is a bit tricky get it on there with the size that it is. So what I'm actually going to do is I'll just transfer my cheese out of this bowl. And I'm actually just going to really quickly pop all my ingredients in the bowl. And I'm going to just blend it, chop it up a little bit. We'll swap bowls back. All right, so I've got the bocconcini going in. Sun-dried tomatoes. Now the measurements are like the quantities are in the recipe that you can look up. So just some bacon that I've roughly chopped. And the spinach here. So I'll pop that in too. So what I'm going to do is I'll just exit the recipe here. Go across to our modes and just go into turbo. So you'll notice from the safety point of view, as soon as you go into turbo, the arms will lock in because you are going to use the full speed. So I'll just do 1 second and see what it looks like. That might even have actually been enough. So just go back. It's chopped up a little bit, but I might actually go a bit more. I'll do 1 more second, I think. Now, turbo is really great too. If you have a sticky dough that you're trying to get out on the bowl, if you find a little stuck around the blade and you're having trouble getting it out, get out as much as you can and pop it in the turbo mode for maybe 1 second, maybe 2, and you'll notice it'll actually flick it all off the blades and it makes it so much easier. So there we go. That's going to be all our fillings. That's going to be a lot easier to spread across here. So you can see here that we've actually bookmarked our recipe. So going back into that, and so yes, with the long side facing you, spread the grated cheese, spinach, bocconcini, sun-dried tomatoes, and bacon in a long line along the bottom edge of the dough, leaving a 1 centimetre border. So I'll just pop all this out. So as I said earlier, you could put any fillings in here that you like. So you think pestos or just ham and cheese. I mean, what can you have a think, like what would be some fillings that you think you'd like in here? As I said, I haven't made it before, so I kind of thought I better stick to the recipe. I always try and stick to the recipe the first time. All right, so
yeah, I love this recipe. I think it's so good with the toppings that it has, but I keep seeing people put pesto in the comments and I'm like, I think this would be amazing with pesto in it.
Yeah, I think pesto would be really nice in there. I was coming up with ideas and then I was like, no, I'll stick to the recipe. I'll just do it right the first time. All right, we'll sprinkle the cheese on. All right. Put it on there like that. Gosh, I'm a messy cook. Anyway. Roll up dough into a log, enclosing the filling. So we'll just roll this up, if you can see that. The bread mat's really great, that the dough doesn't really stick. It might stick a little bit, but you can use your the dough cutter to be able to help roll it up. Always just make sure you never use a knife on these bread mats. They are made of silicone and you don't want to cut it because then you'll have fiberglass and silicone and you'll have to throw it away, which would be a very sad day. So I've got that into a log there. Pull the ends of the dough around, creating a ring shape. So this is going to be a very rustic looking ring shape, I think, but we'll move it around like that. A bit more cheese, we'll throw that in. Just be able to manipulate it around like that. You can see there we've sort of got the ring shape happening. Set aside to proof for a further 10 minutes. And then we're going to pop it in then I'm going to brush it with beaten egg and sprinkle with sesame seeds, and pop in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's golden. So that's pretty much it done there. It's so quick and easy. It'll be perfect to serve if you were having friends over for brunch, or you had to take something for brunch. But yeah, it'll just brew for another 10 minutes and then we'll pop it in the oven. So we can swap over to someone else now.
Amazing. Thank you, Jess. I love that recipe, and you made that look so simple. That's another great one that you guys can see. You know, you might read the recipe and think too hard basket, but it really is that easy to make. And I think your ring shape is perfect, Jess. You nailed it.
It's a little bit rustic, but that's okay.
All right, well, we'll come back to you later and see how that's looking. Now we are going to go over to Vic. All right. Now we are going to go straight into our video, are we, Vic?
Yes, please.
Awesome. So we have a great finger bun recipe to show you, but we are going to utilize a video, and Vic is just going to talk you through what is happening. If you need me to pause it at all, just yell out there.
Yep, thanks. So this is a sweet bun recipe. So similar to your Bakes Delight ones with your finger buns. This is a created recipe as well. So from the recipe community that I've saved onto my machine. You can see me searching for it there. So you can download up to 100 recipes at the moment onto your machine. So I've got quite a few there. Start cooking. So this recipe does ask for all ingredients into the thermo bowl, and you need to pop it in order of the ingredients list. So first up, I'm popping in some 275 grams of lukewarm water, then 5 teaspoons of instant yeast. And you want to make sure that you're popping your yeast around your blades, not on top of them, because you want it to dilute into your water. I'd love to know if anyone's made these finger buns before. My kids absolutely love them. Next is 550 grams of white baker's flour. So I highly recommend getting the big bag of baker's flour from Woolies or Coles. If you're local to Gippsland, there is a warehouse called Brent Corp that sell them in big, I think 12 to 13 kilo bags for like $18. So it makes it super cheap. Next, we're popping a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of milk powder into there. It does say it's optional, but I did pop it in today. The next one is 2 teaspoons of bread improver. Like I said earlier, it just helps it rise a little bit faster and does make it a bit softer as well. 65 grams of sugar. So that's where we get our sweet bun sweetness from. So our scales are measuring all along the way there. So you don't need to use a separate set of scales, which is amazing with the thermo. And then 45 grams of soft butter. You can also make your own butter in your Thermomix. I didn't have any. So I just used store-bought. So you can just use it with your cream. Then we're popping it on, we're combining it for 40 seconds on speed 3. Just to combine all of those ingredients. So you can see it all combined there. And now we're going to pop it on the dough mode. So this one actually needs for 8 minutes. So that's why we did a little video, just because it does take quite a while. And it started to do the dough dance, which you may be able to see in the video. I do have it on my glider board there though. So the feet do securely fit into the glider board. So it does not move very much. So I just sped that up so you can see it all combined there together. Just give the bottom of your blades a bit of a twist just to help release the dough from the blades. This one was quite a sticky dough though. So I did have to give it a bit of a pull. I think because it had kneaded for 8 minutes as well, it was quite tight in there. You can also do the turbo trick that Jess did before, popping it on for a second just to flick it off the blades as well. Just making it into a ball. You don't have to be too gentle with it. Wrapping it up with your silicone bread mat. And then it does say to let it sit and rest for 15 minutes before working with it. Once it's rested, then you want to use your thermo mat, punch it out, punch any gas out of that has formed. And now you start to, once you punch that gas out, it's just a little bit easier to work with. And then you're going to start forming your little buns. So I did use the Kmart silicone little bread molds. Sorry, just checking the pull apart. And then I did go into the scale mode to sort of try and get them a bit precise. So I think the recipe recommends about 50 grams. I was getting about between 50 and 60 grams per one. I think I made about 18. I've got a lot missing now. Little hands have already eaten them. I make it look easy. Little hot tip, my dad used to own a bakery. So then I'm shaping them. So using the palm of your hand and going in a circular motion to make it into a little round ball first, and then using your fingers to slide along. Once it's a ball, then yes, slide it along into a log. So I've just sped that up so you don't have to watch me doing it. You can do it with both hands as well if you want to do that. They don't have to be perfect. I just made them this size so that they fit in the lunch boxes. The Baker's Delight ones are a bit bigger. So that's pre-proving and that's post. So that was about an hour later, and then 15 minutes at 180 in the oven, and that's them all cooked up. So you can pop them straight onto a tray, like the tray I showed you earlier that I've got my pull apart on. Otherwise, yeah, the silicone just keeps them nice and tight and a great fit for the lunch boxes. Baker's Delight ones are $2 each. They are a little bit bigger, but yeah, $2 for one. This batch of 18 cost me $1.80 to make. And that is with the icing that I'm going to do next as well. So a lot cheaper, massive saving. Thanks, Chels. I'm going to go over to making the icing. So we pop buttercream on ours. On the recipe, it does say you can do like a royal icing if you want. I do find that one a bit too runny for the kids. So I like to do a buttercream. So I have saved it in my week. And this is the one that I like to use. Press start cooking. I'd love to know what other people have popped on their sweet buns, on their finger buns. Now, first up, I need actually 2 seconds. I feel like my pull apart's burning. I'm going to get it out. All right, so 400 grams of icing sugar. I have milled this down myself just with some raw sugar for about a minute on speed 10. So it's a lot cheaper doing it that way as well. I probably don't need the full recipe, probably just do half, but it's late. My brain doesn't want to work anymore. Has anyone popped in the chat what they like to have on their buns? So now we want to put 200 of butter, unsalted, cut into pieces. Next, 15 grams of milk. I always tend to put a little bit too much. Oh, it's almost right. A bit of vanilla, it does say optional. You could put some colour in it as well if you wanted to. Oops, wrong one. Our lid in place. Now we're going to speed 4 for a minute. So it's just letting us know that it is creaming that for us. Let's check the comments. The Baker's Delight icing is delicious. I forget what it is that they put in the Boston bun. Yeah, so you could do something similar and pop your coconut on top of your finger buns as well. So So it'd be similar to a Boston bun, it just won't have your fruit in it. And like I said, because it is from the recipe community, you can adjust things on there as well and make your own little notes. So I have got what I've got left that the kids have already started eating without any icing on them. Starting to combine there. So that's our icing sugar, our butter, and our vanilla. So it wants to go for another 20 seconds. So these freeze really well as well. So you can pop them, do them as a bit of a lunchbox prep, and you can pop them into the freezer. They last really well. Defrost in the lunch boxes. So next you want to pop your butterfly whisk in. So you want to find the blunt side of your blades, the highest ones. Pop your butterfly whisk in, put our lid back on. And then it's just letting us know that it's whipping it for a minute, speed 3. So always remembering that we don't go past speed 4 with our butterfly whisk. We just don't want to shoot that off. So remembering a butterfly has 4 wings, so don't go past speed 4. Another little tip with doughs as well, I'm not sure if anyone mentioned it earlier. I know that Em said she was struggling a little bit with hers rising. If you pop your finger into your dough and it doesn't bounce straight back, that usually means that it's ready. If it does bounce back at you, then it usually needs about another 20 minutes. Another way is also to stretch your dough. And if it's like a window, like stained glass window that you like see through it a little bit, then it's usually ready. If it breaks apart, then it needs a little bit more time as well. So that's another few little tips. All right. That should be done. Yeah. So it's just puff that up now, so it's nice and fluffy. So I'll just grab one of my little buns, and I'm just going to use one of the little palette knives that you can also get from the mix shop. Spread that over the top. Just like that. And then I've got some sprinkles that the kids are going to be very excited about. You can just dip it in. You can just sprinkle it on top or do it like that. That is it. So that's a little finger buns. That's it, Chels.
They look amazing. Thank you for
No,
showing us that. They look so good. I know my kids absolutely love them. We just do royal icing, but I like the idea of buttercream. I really like that Jess popped in the chat that recipe she's found that's like the Baker's Delight icing. So awesome.
Have to give that a go.
We are nearly done, guys. We do tend to run over. We try really hard to stick to time, but we just have so much we want to show you. So we've just got our last recipe over here with Nick, and then we are going to show you all our dishes, and we are going to be all finished. So we hope you guys stick around and are loving the class tonight.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick from Twin Mixing Mum. I've been with Thermomix for about 12 months now, and similar to some of the others, I joined to earn my TM6 in 60-day program and stayed on, and I've had a Thermomix for about 6 years. So tonight I'm going to make garlic and coriander naan. For all those coriander haters out there, don't leave now because you can absolutely leave it out. Okay, so just going to go into start cooking. 1 bunch of fresh coriander, leaves only. I'm just going in with a little bit because my husband is one of those coriander haters, so he would definitely want to eat some of this. And I'm going to put our lid on and we're just going to chop that first. So 3 seconds at speed 5 we go to. Oh, Jess, I love coriander too, so. Let's just give it a little bit of a chop up. Okay, so next 1 tablespoon of ghee, which I have here. I've actually melted the ghee just to save time because I knew we'd be pushing it tonight, but that's actually the next step, is going to melt the ghee. And so we're going to skip the next step, but basically it melts it at Varoma at speed 1. Next, we're going to add 3 garlic cloves. I've got 3 or more here, big garlic cloves, because we love garlic. A little bit more. And put our lid on. And 3 seconds again at speed 6 to chop up that garlic. And I'm just going to scrape down the sides. So that he's just chopped that up in the ghee. And 1 teaspoon of Nigella seeds. I will talk about these ingredients a little bit later, but they're little black seeds. And this is just going to cook now at 1 minute, Varoma at speed 1. So basically with the ghee is clarified butter. As you know, you can make your own butter in the Thermomix. It's just simply to use cream. And if you do that, then you end up with your butter and buttermilk, which is great. To make your own ghee, again, you're just using butter. So it cooks for 2 hours. The butter will separate, so you'll get the clear ghee, and it will have little brown crumbs at the bottom. So then just use a muslin just to drain it. Put it in a sterilised jar. It will last for about a month in the pantry or 3 months in the fridge as well. So the Nigella seeds, so they're a little bit of a mystery. They're often referred to as black cumin. I know them best from when I go to the market and smell the Lebanese bread. You're often used to see them on that. They don't have a great deal of taste. They can sort of have the pungency of onion. And as I said, you can definitely leave them out if you don't have them, like with the coriander. And as you know, with naan, you can put anything in or on top of your naan. So let me know what you like to have on your naan. All right. So that's it. And anyone that knows ghee knows it smells absolutely beautiful after it's done. Okay, now we're going to start our naan bread. Okay, so it says not to clean the mixing bowl. I love that step, and I probably wouldn't have cleaned it anyway. Grease a large bowl with olive oil and set aside. I have done that with the dough I made earlier, but you can use your Thermomat. 240 grams of full cream milk. My scales are tiered. I'll do 1.5 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. Again, I'll just put that around the edge. And on again with our lid. We're just going to heat that at 37 degrees for 2 minutes. So that's activating our yeast. With this recipe too, you can actually use the whey from Pinia. So if you are doing an Indian cook-up, there's a beautiful cookbook on Cookie Do called Flavors of India. You can make your own Pinia, which is like an Indian cottage cheese. And that's actually just done with full cream milk and vinegar. So you can sort of utilize all your ingredients from what you're making. The milk, you've probably seen a lot of milk breads or milk dough. So as you probably aware, milk makes the dough a lot softer. It actually coats the gluten strands. So yeah, it's a much softer dough, which is lovely. Just have a look at what everyone said they like to put on their naan bread. Mixed herbs, Kerry. And Chels leaves out the coriander. I knew you were a coriander hater, Chels. You can do onion and cumin. There's another recipe online for that, or Kashmiri chili and garlic. Kashmiri is just an Indian chili powder. It gives that bright red colour in your cooking as well. You can also fill these. You can fill them with cheese and spinach. It's just different the way that you roll them out. So that's already at 37 degrees. So I'm actually just going to stop that there and keep going because my Thermomix tells me when it's sitting at that temperature. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And a teaspoon of sugar. Raw sugar, you could use any sugar that you like. 2 teaspoons of sea salt. And 480 grams of baker's flour. So I too, like everyone else, buy this in bulk, the 12.5 kilo bags. We just tend to make so many bread things now. So the other batch of dough that I made early this afternoon. So often you can leave things proof for longer than it needs to. You can also put it in the fridge and then take it out to prove when you're almost ready to cook as well. So if you wanted to do it the night before. A teaspoon of garlic paste. I didn't have any garlic paste, so I've just got some diced garlic here. Again, garlic paste is something else that you can make in your Thermomix. 120 grams of natural yogurt, again, made in the Thermomix. We just make this for the kids, and I've been making it in little pouches lately, so they're actually about 100 grams in the pouch, so that's a really easy way to portion it out. And on with our lid. It's just going to mix for 20 seconds at speed 3. And then it's going to go on to knead. So I too have the glide board.
I was just going to say, do you want to move on to your pre-proofed dough, Nick, if we're going to move into kneading?
Yeah, I can. Yep. It's got a 3-minute knead, so I'll come back to that.
Thank you.
All right, so this is the dough that I proved before. I have stolen a little bit off the top because I did cook one just in case we were running short for time as well, but it did puff up in the bowl. So just out onto our bread mat. Shape into the ball. So it was proving for 1 to 2 hours, but mine's been going for a little bit longer. Okay, so it says divide the dough into 6 equal portions. So, and it says about 140 grams each. You can turn your scales on to weigh it if you wish. And this recipe makes 6 breads as well. Okay, gently work each piece into a ball using the heel of your hands. Stretch the dough portion then into an oval shape, so 23 by 15 centimeters. So I actually just prefer to pull it down and just hand stretch it too. You smell that beautiful garlic in it. You can roll it if you like. And look, it depends what shape you like as well. So by just letting the dough hang, it will actually drop out too. Dust with flour. Okay, we're just going to move over. Put my pan on. I should have heated my pan, but anyway, I've got one cooked to show you. So heating the pan up, just a dry pan, no oil or anything. And in it goes, it's quite thick. And we're just going to cook that for about 1.5 minutes. So at 1.5 minutes, we're just going to flip it over. This is the one that I made earlier, only it hasn't got the toppings on it. So you can see it's actually quite light. I have had it in a thermo server. I did initially worry that they get a bit soggy in there, but it's the best way just to cook them and put them in there so you can eat them when they're warm. So you will see this start to puff up as well. They take a little bit of time to warm up. So when you're looking at costings of these, you can get your naan bread from the supermarket. So normally the ones that are just kept in the shelf, they're about anywhere between $3 and $4.50 for 2 breads. To make these, probably the biggest cost is the coriander, but if you're not a coriander liker, it cuts the cost down a lot. So you can actually make 6 of these naan bread, just plain with garlic, for around $2, which is crazy. A little bit more expensive if you wanted to put cheese and spinach in them. And to do that, you would just spread it out to a circle, put your spinach and cheese in the middle or whatever you wanted to fill them with, just cheese and garlic. Pull the sides in like a ball, turn it upside down and then roll it out to your shape a little bit. So quite versatile. If you're looking at your Indian restaurant at purchasing those, so your basic ones normally for one naan bread start at about $3.50 for a garlic naan and go right up to about $5.50 for a cheese and spinach. So certainly making them at home is the way to go. Of course, they do freeze really well. So if you are feeling that you don't want to be using dough or 2 hours earlier, you can have a batch frozen, just pull them out, reheat them in the oven or even in a pan.
Amazing. We might let you finish cooking that and we'll come back to you in a moment and we can see once you've flipped it. Awesome. We are going to jump back over to Em because I'm really excited to see how this pudding's looking. Thank you, Nick.
So my pudding didn't take long at all, guys. It was kind of ready. I'm going to say in about half an hour, but check it out. It looks amazing.
So good.
So good. Yeah, so good. So I'm going to dish this up. It does say to serve it with ice cream. Instead, I just have whatever I've got in my fridge, and I've got cream in there, so I'll be serving it with cream. But, oh my gosh, it's so good. I think that brioche bread is going to be delicious. And that custard has actually come up really good considering I didn't have the eggs. It is really puddingy. So Nick's going to love me now because I'll bring his dessert in. Patiently been waiting. But how good does that look? That is brioche berry pudding. You could use fresh berries, fresh strawberries. I use frozen. The custard mixture, that was pretty easy to make, and also the brioche loaf. Like I said, you can make that ahead of time, so you can do it a couple of days beforehand. Quick, easy dessert. I think it's more of a winter dessert. I could see myself definitely sitting on the couch eating this over Easter or on these colder nights. So, yeah, thanks all for tuning in and watching myself make the pudding. I think Chelsea's posted the recipe. Have you, Chelsea?
Yeah, we popped it in the comments. I'll put it in there again, though.
Amazing, guys.
Thank you so much, Em. And if you're not already, jump on Instagram and you can follow Em at Mix It with Mrs. Rutsy. I did pop that in the comments as well. So thank you so much, Em. We're going to go over to Jess. How are you doing, Jess? Is your brunch bread out of the oven?
I'm just about to grab it out of the oven. 2 seconds.
Oh, that's okay. We'll come back to you. All good. We'll jump over to Vic and see how our pull apart is.
It looks amazing. Probably not the best clatting, but easily pulling apart. I'll see if I can get a bit so you can see inside. Yeah. Looks delicious. Yeah.
Looks better than Baker's Delight.
And then our little buns all ready to go.
Amazing. They look fabulous. Thank you so much, Vic. If you're not already, you can follow Vic on Instagram at the Everyday Thermo. So jump on and give her a follow. And thank you for cooking tonight, Jess. Vic, sorry, I was looking at Jess
Right.
and getting her stuff out of the oven. We will cut back over to Jess.
All right. So there is my brunch bread. If you can see that there, just come out of the oven, but it looks delicious. So once I get it off the tray, I will cut it open and post photos later on Instagram. But yeah, it looks amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jess. So if you're not already, you can follow Jess at Thermi Life on the Farm, and she'll snap some pictures of that inside, and you definitely want to see that. Thank you so much for cooking tonight, Jess.
No worries.
I need to find myself. All right, so here we have our bagels. You may notice there's only 5. I may or may not have eaten one already. I'll take my glasses off. They are delicious. They're super soft inside, and they have that really, really nice chewiness to them on the outside as well. These ones did go slightly browner than the other ones, but they're not overcooked or anything at all, and they are amazing. I whipped up some, after I said that before, some cream cheese with a bit of honey and cinnamon in it. Are delicious. I definitely recommend trying those if you haven't already. Awesome, and we'll just check back in and see how Nick's going with that naan, and I can't find her screen. Nick, are you there? Oh yeah, there you are. You jumped across for some reason.
Yeah, so looking beautiful. You can see how thick, how well they rise up. But that's your finished one. So they smell beautiful. As I said, forget the coriander, stuff them with cheese and spinach. And yeah, I made a butter chicken tonight. It's probably my favorite dish. So that's what we'll be having with that.
Amazing. They look so good. Thank you, Nick. Thank you so much for cooking tonight. And if you don't already, you can follow Nick at Twin Mixing Mum on Instagram and see what she's making at home. So thank you again for cooking with us tonight, Nick. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming along tonight. And thank you for sticking around. We did run a little bit over. Like I said, we tend to do that. We just have so much that we want to show you in our classes. We will be back in 2 weeks with an allergy-friendly class, and we'll be focusing on gluten-free, dairy-free, those kind of things. So that'll be a good one as well. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you so much to everyone who invited some friends along tonight. Please make sure you touch base with your consultant or whoever invited you along, and we can work out your host rewards. A huge thank you to the girls for cooking tonight. So we don't get paid to put on these classes. We do them just to support you in your Thermomix journey. So a huge thank you to the girls for giving up their night to cook for us tonight. We really love putting on these classes for you. If you have any feedback or suggestions on classes that you'd like to see, please shoot them through to the girls on Instagram, because we would love to tailor them to suit you. Please remember we have that half-price business kit, so it's just $62 to start a Thermomix business if you do already have a TM6. We also have our amazing Earn program if you don't yet have a Thermomix. So if you would like some more information on that, again, please just message one of the girls. They would love to answer that. We also have that limited time double host reward. So you'll get a free black thermo server just for hosting, and then your choice of another host reward as well. So 2 thermo servers, thermo server bread mats, thermo server blade cover, whatever it is that tickles your fancy if you host a cooking experience between the 21st and the 31st of this month. So please, again, reach out to the girls if you would like some more information on that, because they would love to help you out. Thank you again, everybody, for coming along tonight. We really appreciate it. And we hope to see you all in a couple of weeks at our next class. Thanks, guys.